Good morning. Kahuna and Jern are in the house. We are back with another edition of We Are Fucked for Betting with These Guys. Or, as we like to call it, the Outlaws Edge. How's it going, guys?
Good, how are you?
Doing good.
Doing good. You guys are all reserved and quiet, and I'm loud. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean it's an early day, but football's starting early today. We got the London game.
Oh, there's a game in London, isn't there?
Yeah, the Vikings are playing the Saints in London at 9:30, so it's good we're going early.
Good. We might as well, before we get into the betting part of it, we might as well just start talking about what we really wanted to talk about. And that's Tua Tagovailoa and the whole issue of what happened last week and the prior week. Really, it was kind of both last week. He played Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, and then he played again at 4 days later on Thursday. And if anybody saw him play on Sunday, he gets thrown to the ground, hits his head, gets up. You know, at first could it have been a back injury looking? Yeah. But then takes about a step or two, and his legs are just done. Jello. But somehow, in this modern day where we're trying to take concussion protocol very seriously and protect the players from themselves and protect the sport, he's allowed back into that game, and they say he passed the concussion protocol, only to come back Thursday night on a not, and I don't want to say non-violent, but it wasn't like a monster hit. You know what I mean? He was kind of just tossed to the ground, not like superplex, not fired to the ground. Like he was kind of wrapped up, just tossed. And his hands went like, and they locked right up. And I guess they call that posturing. Is that right, Jern? Is that what they call that?
It's typically called fencing position.
Fencing.
His looked a little bit different because it was more his fingers than his arms, but yes.
Yeah. So Journey is an athletic trainer, fresh out of college. She's up in Baldwinsville, Baker something high school.
Mm-hmm.
It's Baldwinsville, but it's called something different, right?
Yeah, Baker High School in Baldwinsville, New York.
Baker High School in Baldwinsville. So you have a little bit of experience with this, and I know Zach wanted to talk to you and ask you some questions about the concussion protocol. What exactly, roughly, what is the concussion protocol for? You know what I mean? How, like, you go out to I imagine you run out there, and the first thing you say is like, "Talk to me," right? Would that roughly be it?
Yeah, like what's going on? What happened?
What's going on? What happened? So from that point on, when you think it may or may not be a concussion, what is the sequence of events for you to rule it a concussion or not a concussion?
So this is just New York State protocol within a high school, and like each high school has a different form that you fill out. So it's very like individually based. But once I go out to the field, as soon as I go out to the field, they regardless of the injury, they have to come off with me before they can go back in the game.
Right.
And that's just because obviously it was serious enough that they went down and they needed it to be looked at. So we need to give that the proper time. So and typically, like, I don't really have to ask what happened. Like I always do, but I am on the sideline and I follow along with the plays. So I know and I watch. And that's like half of athletic training's like experience is like injury scanning and being able to identify how to do that. So I get out there, and if they took a hit to the head immediately, I'm like over, and I'm doing a concussion protocol. So typically the biggest questions that we always ask on the sideline are like, do you have a headache? Are you dizzy? Can you see? Do you remember where you are? Can you follow my fingers? Stuff like that. And depending on the severity of it, and like sometimes you get out there and there could be a student unconscious. And so immediately you want to perform C-spine stabilization, and that's to protect their neck and see if that they need to be referred out. So,
and that was kind of what they did with Tua when they strapped him down. They took his face mask off and they strapped him across his forehead to the gurney, probably just to make sure he didn't mess up his neck
Yeah, because he experienced neurological symptoms the second he went down, which is what he was doing with his fingers. So the second that the nervous system is visibly damaged, but also like if they say like, I can't feel my toes, or if they can't move their toes, you want to refer them out immediately to the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then they'll go get like a CT They'll get visual imaging to see and make sure there's no brain bleed, anything like that. And they can see further in beyond just the the subjective questions, like Jeremy was saying, where can you see? Are you dizzy? Do you have a headache? Then you can see beyond that to make sure, because the whole thing of CTE is not necessarily a concussion, right? Like it's a series of concussions over a lifetime, and it's something that for the longest time, it's been around for a while. It like in the 20s, it was basically in combat sports. It was called when they discovered it was dementia pugilista, which basically is like a boxing. They punch drunk dementia. It's very similar to the symptoms, not what happens, but like the dementia is similar to like Alzheimer's. But when you're in combat sports, or you're playing where you have like constant neck and head contact, like football, rugby, you develop these like subacute little head injuries over the course of your life, and it ends up potentially turning into this. And it's some insane number of people who have donated their brains, like that, who've participated in the NFL, who have developed this CTE, and to the point of like severe detriment. Like if you look in the case of like Junior Seau or things like that, where it's rough. And I know it's weird that this happens, right after we were talking last week. We kind of ended last week talking about youth football and things like that. And I said, man, I miss when, we were talking about the penalties and roughing the passer. I miss when you used to be able to hit over the middle, and then this happens. And it's kind of like, where's the balance of how do we protect these people? And especially since, if, Journey's working with the youth, we were talking about the youth with the Sorry Youth Football, the Blitz, and working way up. How do we protect kids and adults in an appropriate fashion to avoid this? Because it's extremely dangerous, and it's frightening.
I smiled when you started talking because brain fart. I've totally forgot you're like an RN.
Yeah.
I'm like, so we go from the field to the hospital. What a segue that was. You know what I mean?
That's why I wanted to bring Journey in, because she has that
she has
on
the first
field
part.
thing, and I see them afterwards.
Right.
So
I mean, there's a few things, right? They have all these different forms of tackling. They coach up these new tackling methods. USA Football has a heads up one. The Seahawks do a back shoulder tackling form, and I think back shoulder. Here's the thing: any kind of collision sport is going to have these kind of issues, right? Like, I think nationally they outlawed heading the ball in girls soccer before the varsity level, I believe. I watched a Real Sports or something on it, and they were talking about how everybody was banging on football, but the reality was young girls were getting concussions at twice the rate because their neck muscles weren't strong enough. And if they were headering the ball, it was giving them more concussions. So, you start to take these things out, right? Like basically in football, I think now think of it like baseball. There's a strike zone from the top of the letters to the knees. Like that's your strike zone, hitting the middle of the body. I mean that's a decent idea, but you also got to put your kind of head and shoulder in there to get it right. Me personally, I don't prefer the heads up tackling method. They kind of go double underhooks face into them. Now, and the reason I don't prefer that is if I come in and I double underhook and I wrap like this, if you think in terms of wrestling, you shoot a double leg, your head's to the side, you're more with your shoulder, you're wrapping the legs, and you're going forward, right? Double underhooks, I'm getting a base and I'm exploding up. But the problem is I'm exposing the back of my head, and that's exactly where Tua hit 2 weeks in a row. So if you're trying to tackle Derrick Henry, I don't care if you're in the NFL. If you double underhook him and he barrel rolls you, you got his weight plus your weight landing on the back of your head where there's no protection. Like in a combat sport, they always say the worst hits are the ones you don't see, right?
Mhm.
Where when you're tackling, you kind of know the ground's there. Even in that millisecond, I'm sure your body tries to protect itself to some degree. Where I don't know where the ground is if I get steamrolled and I'm falling backwards. So, and then the Seahawk method is great for the pros because they do the back shoulder, like they call, or the back hip. So they always trail the back hip and then they kind of rugby tackle. They're down around the feet, which is great when you're big and strong. But when you're a kid, an 85-pound kid, his putting his arm out there, he's never going to make a tackle like that because, the thigh is way bigger than the arm.
Right.
So it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough on how to exactly teach it, and protect. I don't think any sport truly protects you fully, right? I mean,
No.
here's one for you. We have probably some of the greatest technology in football helmets, right? A baseball helmet's basically fucking styrofoam, right? There's a little foam in there, and you get 98 with a hard object to a pinpoint spot, and a lot of these guys don't get concussions. That blows my mind because usually, you know what I mean? It does the weight matter? You know what I'm saying? Like the force. Because 98 isolated to the head, you would think would be an instant concussion.
Well, I think the difference with that thing is I understand that baseball helmets are way thinner and foam, but you're taking a hard object and it's hitting, and they're made in a way that the plastic and everything like that, or whatever it's made of, carbon fiber, it disperses the impact. But with the football and things like that, there is like especially with Tua's most recent hit, kind of like a whiplash element where the neck and the whole head are moving, and it's the act of the brain hitting the inside of the skull that's doing it, not whatever's the external force hitting it. Like in a targeting, it's not necessarily going to be somebody's helmet to helmet that causes the initial impact, but the rattling of the brain when the head goes back that's causing those little concussive things. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a sport, and whether you're tackling it's a physical, not combat sport, but it's a physical sport. Whether you're tackling up top or on the legs, there's always going to be a risk for injury when bodies are colliding at high speeds. Whether it's an ankle tear or an ankle break or a ligament or whatever, there's potential for injury. But the lingering effects, I think, of the head injuries far surpass anything otherwise, like orthopedic shoulder. Because you can rehab those. Yeah, you could still lose your career if you're a quarterback and you break your shoulder, your arm, or whatever. There's a potential you never come back, but you're not going to have these neurological and cognitive deficits and dementia down the road to where you're going to have like no quality of life. You could still live. You just not throwing a football anymore.
No, I understand that.
I wonder. So did you ever wear a neck roll when you played? Like, did you play defense or offense?
I did. I played both. I didn't play long, and honestly, what's considered a concussion now, compared to then, I probably had 5. You know what I mean? But not in football. In a race car, being goofy with my friends. I tried to hit. Remember when? In the 80s, it's hard to the big kickballs.
Mm-hmm.
We were down to summer recreation. Shane Geisler throws. I'm like, yo, throw it to me. And I got an aluminum bat. And
Did
he threw it up high. And I hit that thing, and the bat came right back in my head. I couldn't see shit. Tasted blood. I was basically knocked out on my feet. That's a concussion. But, back then you didn't know. You were just like, I got lightheaded. Race car, I flipped it. That was, I was out. I know I was knocked out in that twice. I know I was knocked out and came to and got up. But I remember getting up and my legs not being there, just straight wobbly.
Yeah.
And then another time I crashed a bicycle being an idiot with a friend of mine, and that was straight head to pavement.
Journey,
so,
where you're when you were in college and stuff and doing your studies, were you around turf or grass more?
It kind of depended on the sport. I worked with our women's lacrosse team, our Ithaca football team, and then men's and women's crew teams. So when I was with lacrosse, we only practiced on the turf because obviously it's a spring sport and it's Ithaca in the winter, so it's practically snow up until May. Football, we have a grass field at Ithaca, but we did play on the turf, so we practiced on the grass a majority of the time, and then once it got colder and like depending on weather, we would try and get on the turf at night. So it kind of, like I said, it varied depending on like environmental effects and also like where we were playing that week.
Do you think, what do you feel about turf and injuries? Like, do you feel like turf adds to injuries because it has no give? Like, do you see more high ankle sprains and things like that and broken bones on turf, or is it pretty even? Like, does turf have benefit basically besides like, oh, we get to play indoors in the winter? Because I feel like the injuries that I've seen are always like astronomically worse on turf.
That's hard to say only because there are so many other outside factors. So you also have to consider like every human being has such an individualistic baseline for like their injuries, and like they could just be anatomically predisposed to hurting themselves a little bit easier than someone else with like a simpler mechanism. I'm trying to think. I think that like grass does in football, like if it's especially like when it's muddy, it gives a little bit more give because it kind of moves with you. But I can't like there's no research on that saying like which one is more.
Yeah.
It kind of just depends. I'm also so sorry about my cat.
No, it's okay. No, because like it's definitely anecdotal, you know, because the things I've experienced, because we didn't, you know, we all went to Saugerties, right? So we had a grass field, and I only got to play at Dietz once, and I loved playing on turf, but we definitely had more injuries, like with cleats and grass. But then again, you know, in the practice field and modified, I remember seeing somebody get their ankle turned completely around on grass. So it really, I guess what you're saying, you know, people are individualized and they have, some are more prone to certain injuries based on, you know, anatomical things. But I was just wondering because I really like grass.
I get it.
I see this. You know, I mean, I see the financial side of it for schools to go to turf and the upkeep and it's always green and it's more playable. You don't have, you know, if you're gonna, you can snow blow turf. You're not gonna snow blow grass or plow it. You know what I mean? If you're in the snow, um, the kind of problem with the turf is the grip factor is so high compared to the strength of a human muscle or ligament or what have you, right? Like where grass will give at some point. You know what I mean? Where turf, it doesn't give. You put your foot in the ground, you know it. Like even at a young age, Boston at 9 playing on turf, his legs killed him the next day. You know what I mean? Where he played full games on grass and he was nowhere nearly as sore. So it's got to be something to the effect of the grip level. You know what I mean? And I wonder how much. Well, it's fact if you look it up. The amount of injuries at MetLife Stadium since they put that turf in, and what's his name just got hurt last week. Sterling Shepard tore his ACL on a non-contact play.
That's what I was just gonna say. Yeah, he was just running a route and then his foot just gave up, right? So it's, I don't know. Like,
do you think there's technology or people out there that study like where that cleat is? Like, is it just like the toe cleat catching the grass or catching a little bit and it rips that ligament?
So a lot of the majority cause to non-contact ACL injuries is going to be a gluteus medius weakness because it causes you to go into dynamic valgus, which means that's the position where your thigh's here and your knee goes this way. So your knee's inward. So when you're planning and cutting and going to make that turn, if you are like fatigued out and just over time, or if you overall just have gluteus medius weakness, your knee is going to buckle in and it's going to put extra stress on the MCL and it's going to put ACL into that torsion.
Does that mean like when you say buckle in, like a hyperextension of the knee backwards, like the opposite way?
No. So like,
or just like a quick sudden.
Yeah, kind of like that. So like if someone was to plant their foot and like make a cut, their
Mhm.
knee should stay right over their toes. But if they have a gluteus medius weakness or if they're super fatigued out, their knee is going to go in like that. So it's going to put a lot of tension on the inside on the MCL. And that's why typically with ACLs you see MCL and meniscal injuries, because it's most of the time non-contact and it's just inside like that.
So what I giggled because when you're looking at a camera and you're trying to explain it, you're going inside. So what you're saying basically is if your leg is straight up and down like this,
Yes.
it's not going in, it's going more left or right.
Yes, and you said
It's
like
buckling left or right.
you said medial, right?
Buckling
So
left or
MCL is
right.
medial, ACL is
Yeah.
anterior, so medial's
Interior,
inside.
so which would be outside, right?
Yep.
Medial's inside.
Yep.
All right, well, how about dad's knees? They hurt right behind my kneecaps every time I stand up.
That's called being 40 and fat.
Yeah, that's both.
Yeah.
I agree. Thanks, Zach.
Yep.
You're
And then, well, speaking of being 40 and fat, I'm almost there. I'm 37. We're fair fat 40. We're not female, but how's your gallbladder doing?
It's good. So far, good.
What I was asking about the neck roll earlier, because I felt like when I played with the neck roll, I had a lot more stabilization, like not less head movement. And I was thinking, I don't necessarily think it's possible, especially for a quarterback who needs the ability to scan the field. But I wonder if there's a way that the shoulders and the shoulder pads and the helmet could have like some sort of stabilization, some sort of connectivity to it, like avoid, so your head is moving with your trunk and not like completely free.
So, sidestep football for 1 second. Think about NASCAR right now. They have the Hans device that they have to wear after the Earnhardt crash. Earnhardt Sr. died because his neck, in the crash moved separate from his body, and it causes where that break is.
It's like basically
subcranial break, like right there. And so they have the Hans device where it goes over your shoulders. It's like a neck roll, right? It goes over your shoulders. Mm-hmm. And then they have these two clips that hook to your helmet. You know what I mean?
I wonder if something like that would help.
Now, obviously, a quarterback has to have it. But I was looking it up because I've been getting these ads on a Facebook ad, and I was looking up the technology involved. And, of course, the time I need it to pop up, it doesn't pop up. But it's this net. It's kind of like a neck roll thing. And it's based on, I'm scrolling here trying to find it. What it is, it's based on rams and woodpeckers. They put all this technology into this. It's a thin bar that comes right around your neck. And they said it's a lot of based on, because rams always run into each other and woodpeckers banging their head on the thing. Yeah. It's based on some, I don't know whether it's pressure or nerve, kind of like you said, stabilization, but it's like thin and it gives you still have mobility, but it supposedly reduces concussions, a big percentage. But they're like any technology, it's not cheap. But you're starting to see them pop up on like I'm watching College Game Day, and all of a sudden I'm starting to see them. So, maybe there is technologies coming out there. I don't know.
I mean, back to the Tua thing, though, like the difference between the hit Sunday and the hit Thursday, right? So let's just talk about the rules as the game of the way they are, at least in the NFL. It may be different in high school and college, right? When it comes to protecting the quarterback. Because of the way that we've gone for protecting quarterbacks with roughing the passer being like called if you fart in the direction of the thing wrong, the quarterback wrong. If that tackle would happen where he hit him and landed on his body, I don't think he has that severe injury like he did when he did the whipping. But the D-back or whoever tackled him avoids that because it's a penalty. It's a penalty to hit where you land on the quarterback. So instead, he grabs him and he kind of whips him to bring him down. So in a way, we're trying to protect them by avoiding them taking high contact, but we're opening them up to this now. To
lower leg contact, which is
because like when you watch that the second Tua injury when he gets his neurological damage, right? When you watch that in slow motion, it doesn't look like he hits his head hard on the ground.
No, it's more like his shoulder pads and his head whips.
Yeah, it looks like it's like a whiplash that brings him down. And then he hits his head, right? But that on top of what happened just 4 days prior is just, it's devastating. And like the news came out, I think it was yesterday or the day before that,
Yeah.
the doctor who cleared him, the Players Association fired him, which I think
Yeah.
is good. So like the Dolphins are on big time, damage control with this, trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, here's the thing: the Dolphins don't clear him. So the concussion protocols is the NFL specifically. So you
Right.
can't lean on somebody and say, "Hey, Jern, I need this kid cleared," or this guy, right? Like that. So you can't do that. So the NFL themselves, but the NFL should. There's times that you got to step in and be like, "Yeah, what's going on here?" Like I think across the country, everybody was saying this kid shouldn't be playing, and then that happens. Everybody's like, "I told you." And then now it's damage control, but you need to be, you know what I mean? I think in some way, I just think you need to be proactive instead of reactive. Like if they were proactive, he wouldn't have played and he'd probably be healthy. But now you're going to probably you may be without him for the season or his career. You don't know. So was it worth him playing in that one game?
I know it's individual and it's case by case and depending on symptoms and how bad it was when it happened. But in your concussion protocols that you use, Journey, do you have a standardized time for when someone can return, or is it like they have to get approval from their doctor or whatever? So like, what's like a basic concussion? What's like the standard time frame for someone to be able to come back and practice and play? Because I know for like the first, it's like 24 to 48 hours. If it's a severe one, you have to have somebody like watching you when you sleep, making sure you don't stop breathing. Like concussions are pretty bad beyond the CTE thing. But what for your kids, if they develop a concussion, how long is it before they can come back and play?
So once we see them, we fill out a form and we actually have a packet. It's 3 pages. So the first page is going to be our evaluation, what we saw. So that's going to include all of the subjective stuff. So everything that they're feeling. So say like it happens at like an away game and they're coming back and they come to see me and the AT wasn't there or something like that. Or even if they're at practice up at a different field and they're sent down to come see me. From the time that they hit their head or that they like whatever the mechanism was to now, if they had any of those symptoms, they have to say yes. So like it's going to go from headache to like easily like more irritable,
Nausea,
ringing in
vomiting.
ears, blurred vision, yeah, all that stuff. So then you also do the neurological, strength, balance, and memory. So everything we find, and then we talk to the parents and tell them that they need to be seen by a medical doctor. So New York State law, they cannot return to play or start the concussion protocol, unless they're seen by a medical doctor. So they can't go to a nurse practitioner, they can't go to PA. It has to be an MD signing off on that. So that's one thing that we really have to make sure we're communicating with parents, because they get frustrated when they go to like a well now or an urgent care and an NP signs off and we're like, we can't let them start the protocol. So after they see us, they have to go to a medical doctor. And if they're diagnosed with a concussion, they have to have a follow-up appointment. So once they're cleared and like can start the protocol, it's a 4-day protocol, permitting that they have no symptoms along those 4 days. So the first day is 10 minutes of running or biking, making sure that they don't develop any of the symptoms that are on our checklist. If they do, then we just kind of go back to square one. Then day 2 is either 10 minutes of running or a mile and a circuit workout. Day 3 is a non-contact practice, and day 4 is a contact practice. So again, permitting that they don't develop symptoms like while they're exercising, all that stuff, as long as they don't get like headaches in school, anything like that. And they go through the protocol and they complete it and they're feeling good, then we can clear them to play. But it has to be a minimum of 4 days after they're cleared from their doctor.
And I know it's not the same for the NFL. That's like your protocol that you have in New York with kids. But
Yeah.
still, I mean, typically when there's protocols like that, they're not standard, but there's a reason why it's 4 days, right? Like there's been some sort of medical, evidence-based practice that has studied these things and shown 4 days is the minimum. And look at this Tua situation where he's on day 4.
Less than 4.
They had a short week. It was Sunday that he had the first injury, and then he's playing on Thursday. How much did he practice? Like, I'm very interested to see what comes out in this, because I know that like a lot of people at the start of the season were ripping on him and saying, Tua's not that guy and blah, blah. And he's a young prospect that could potentially be just completely wiped out because of this. Was it greed? We got to win this game. We got to get in there. We're not going to win without Tua. Like I think also, I know it's the NFL and it's not the Dolphins, but how much pressure is put on him that he's got to play to win this one game that really it's one game, doesn't matter that much, that he could potentially ruin his career and his life.
Right. Well, that's what I said, is that going back out there, it may be his career, or it may be the season. Who knows? But is that what we're doing? Is it that important?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. A young Troy Aikman did it in the Super Bowl and didn't remember the Super Bowl. But there's risk and reward in everything you do, right? A regular season game, I don't think there's enough of a reward for something like that. You know what I'm saying? I think it doesn't make a lot of sense. But if your life goal was to be in a Super Bowl and win one, would you maybe take the risk? Probably, people probably would. Whether right or wrong, I'm not debating that. What I'm saying is, it's one game in the middle of you're 4-0 or 3-0 or whatever they were at the time. It doesn't really make sense to go out there and force yourself into a situation which long term could finish your career. You know what I mean? Side note, quick for you two, say hi to Grandma. She's watching. She says hi.
Hi, Graham.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I've talked to a lot of people because I'm fortunate enough where I'm at. Like being a nurse, I work with a lot of women, and not very many women like football. But a lot of people I work with like football. So we talk fantasy, we talk all this stuff, and this was like the big talk this week. And it came up that these people they're professionals. They're being paid to play this game, and they accept the risks when they put pads on and they step on the field. Same way as somebody who their job, if they're a soldier and they're called to war, they accept their duty and they go do that. But the military gives people the best possible protection when they go. Like, they're not going to go throw somebody out there all willy-nilly with some water guns and stuff like that. Like, we need to make sure that we are protecting it, regardless of whether they sign up and they assume the risk or not, that we're protecting them from these like potential devastating injuries. And I don't know where we go forward, because the game is getting faster, people are getting stronger, like just sports science has developed so much in the past 3 decades, right? Like how, adequate nutrition, adequate training and things like that. No longer are people, I mean, but they still do have sports where they're very heavily dominant with like steroids. But now, like, there are people who have studied this for years who have ways to get these athletes in prime peak position. And somebody who's playing now is way different than somebody who's playing in, say, like 1980. With like the steel curtain, everybody's all tough. The game's just faster, and people are just not, I don't want to say bigger, because we definitely got away from the big fat linemen like they used to have too.
No, but they're still big. Anything. Sometimes you improve something so much that it regresses. Do you understand you know what I mean? Like, you go too far. It's like anything, right?
You
like
overtune it.
You overdo it, and you get to a point, and then it starts going. It's that bell curve, right? It's great. Oh man, we just ruined it. It's too much. So it's tough. It's tough to figure it out. But I think companies like Rydell and Shaw and these guys that have, the helmets have flex in them now. They're not just this rigid, rock hard thing. Like, you look at some of these helmets now; they look like space helmets.
Yeah, like I
And
mean,
then,
even when I played, they had the little air the cushion in them and stuff like that. So they had begun to develop. Like I remember my dad telling me, like when he played in high school, they had like rope in their helmet.
yeah, like
Like
a rope
there
or
was
something.
legit rope, and it was just
Yeah,
hard. Now they have those little cushion pieces in the front,
yeah,
right? That
like Boston has a speed
the
flex,
shock
and his
absorber or
has a
whatever.
it has flex in it. But then so you have I mean, the new Rydell helmet, they come and actually scan. To buy that helmet, you have to have a Rydell rep come to your house and scan your actual skull, your entire head, as Journey eats her breakfast. Um, and they have all these, you put this like head sock on, and it scans your entire head. It's custom fitted to your head. And Rydell has these things where if you buy like anything, technology costs money. But they have a thing that looks like a stopwatch, and coaches can wear it, or athletic trainer can wear it on their hip. And if that thing buzzes, it'll tell you, like, each helmet has this like a readout in it. If at a certain level of an impact, it'll buzz you and say number 92 had an impact of whatever the
Right,
number is.
right.
Fictitious number, say 100 is the mark. 105. So Jern could pull that guy off the field and say, hey, what's going on, you good? Check on him, because at this level they have this technology. But like any technology, if it's supposed to be safer and better, try and make it cheaper. Like, try and get funding for it to make it cheaper. You know what I mean? It's
You mean
they're
don't spend your money on
astronomical.
Budweiser ads?
What's that?
You mean don't spend your money on Budweiser ads and actually put the money back into the system
Yeah, like,
and protect? Oh, okay. Maybe the NFL should do that. It's
well,
all about
Budweiser
money,
spends
man.
their money in ads, but I'm saying like if it's life altering and bettering technology, why would you not try to make it affordable? If I could buy this helmet for 400, but with the good with the upgraded technology, and it's like 9, that's double the price.
Yeah.
It's tough. But that's why personally I buy my son a new helmet every 2 years, because you only get one brain. You know what I mean? You get one brain. And if you ruin that, well, I just don't see it. Same thing with race car helmets. I always spent top dollar on race car helmets. And you'd have guys going out there with basically like an old leather helmet or some shit. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I know, Journey, you said you wanted to you had to leave to go to wherever you're going this morning at 9. A lot of
We
the
want
people,
apples.
yeah, a lot of the people that I guess watch or know your dad and stuff are involved with Socrates either through some sort of like youth football or whatever, and you work with kids, right? So I know there's a big reluctance for parents getting their kids to play football because there's the risk for injury and things like that. Is there anything that you can give, or not necessarily advice, but like for somebody who's young, do you guys do any sort of like neck strengthening exercises or anything to help prevent this, to help strengthen either the trapezius muscles or whatever? Is there anything that you do or that you can to help people strengthen those muscles to avoid this? Is there any preventative things that the body can do besides just say the equipment?
So that's where it's a little bit more complex, because like in soccer, you notice that if you look at the statistics over a period of time, the rate of concussions from heading the ball compared to their contact is so much less. People think soccer, like, oh, like they head the ball, they get concussions. But they are preparing and bracing themselves to make that contact. So their neck is stabilizing. But in football, you have the aspect of being blindsided. You also have the aspect of just whiplash. And yes, you can strengthen your muscles and like help your head not hit the ground, but your brain is going to move either way. So the biggest thing that like I would love to just say is like understanding that if someone tells your student, your athlete, your child that they have a concussion and that they need to be looked at, don't give them pushback, because like the biggest issue, I haven't run into an issue, but it's
We lost her. Midpoint, she disappeared. Yeah, she lost. She lost her Wi-Fi.
She's
She
doing
lost her
the
Wi-Fi. Yeah,
two.
it went.
That's all right.
It's
That's all right.
We're good.
So
if she gets it back, we'll bring her back in.
yeah, I know she had to leave. I was just trying to get like a closing.
Yeah,
point.
no, and I think she's young. She just graduated college, and I think she's already come across a couple difficult maybe coaches or parents that don't want to hear. Like parents got to let go of this kind of like living through their kids stuff, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
I'm back. Hey, you're back.
I'm sorry, my laptop died. I can't get it. I'm trying to figure out how to make this bigger. So
you can do it on your phone.
I am on my phone. I'm just here. Okay, whatever.
There we go.
But
wait, you were just saying something about you cut out when you said you got pushback from a parent or something.
The biggest
or
thing.
Don't push back if somebody tells you.
Like they'll be like, "Oh, it's just a headache." Like they're just having a headache, and I'm like, "Okay, but they have a headache after taking." And it's also like the hardest part is parent now. Concussions weren't really a thing younger. You know what I mean? And now they're like, it's just a headache, not a headache. What?
You look like it looks like a dubbed over Chinese fighting movie. Your hands are moving and your voice is breaking up and you're way out of sync. It's crazy. Are you on your Wi-Fi?
But it doesn't really work well.
Well, Dad's got to buy you new Wi-Fi then.
So check it out.
Hear me now?
Check it out. Well, are you good?
Yeah, I think
so. Go ahead. Do whatever you got to do.
Okay. So, I listen to the podcast every week, right? And now that we have Journey here, I want to see what Journey says. I know that you had talked about doing a bucket list thing, George, to go for the Cowboys Thanksgiving game.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about? I don't know how long summer's going to be in England. What do you think about next year? We all go to Dallas for Thanksgiving and go to the football game. I talked to Sarah.
Number one bucket list.
I talked to Sarah and she said she would. But I just don't know if the kids would be able to because it's prime time football time for Journey. But I think it'd be all cool if we all got together and went to Dallas for Thanksgiving.
That's my number one bucket. I'm having a problem with Chet. Yes. To answer your question, yes, I'm down. I'm trying to figure out. People are chatting to us, but for whatever reason, Facebook is not letting the chats come through so I can read them.
Okay.
But Matt Russell is wondering if you can see the things because he's saying, Kahuna, I'm still very upset with you. And now I'm getting text messages from Matt Russell, who is also AKA Big Larry Jr., and he's upset that you traded to the Cowboys and left him a Commanders fan.
Listen, Matt, okay? And I'm going to be insensitive for a second. I was a Redskin fan. They're not the Redskins anymore. They're gone. So I can't like that team anymore. So
yeah, move along, Matt.
So listen, buddy, we're Redskin fans from back in the day, you and I. But now that they no longer exist and they're the Commanders, I've jumped shipped. I'm a Cowboys fan. So, hey, if there's any, I told George, if there's anything that it makes sense, the Redskins and the Cowboys forever have like one of the biggest rivalries. So I know the Cowboys team.
Outing.
I know the Cowboys team. Ever since I was a kid, like just because you like them, so I know their dynasty and their history. So it's an easy jump for me.
Yeah,
and just like when the Red Sox are good, I'll be the Red Sox fan.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'll never like the Red Sox.
No,
but yes, sorry, Baber.
Yeah, Jern, we know you got to run. We definitely got to continue this conversation when you have a little bit more time and better Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
All right. Have a safe trip today. Eat some apples for us, and I'll call
I
you
will.
later.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, kiddo. I love you.
Okay,
Talk to you
sounds
later.
good.
Yeah.
Later.
Bye.
All right.
All right. So, only 2 curses by Gmac there, or the Hangman.
Yeah, the Hangman. The
It's
Hangman
hard to
come.
not slip in the F-bombs, but I know it's not betting talk, but Journey having her studies being this and me being a nurse and talking and like what we went over like an hour last week talking about youth football, and it really, dude, I absolutely loved it just sitting there talking. I don't know if you had any
Yeah.
feedback or whatever, but the whole thing you had this week with, was it Ezra who you had on?
Ezra. Yep. Ezra came on. Yep.
That's what I want to see. That stuff is so cool. Like, and you're harping on him for dead air. Winnie has way more dead air than he had.
No, I know. Well, the thing is that kid is legit our Ferris Bueller. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it. Ez is that kid. He's a magnet for everybody. He's just got this positivity about him,
Yeah.
and people cling to it. Like we went to Saratoga to the horse races.
Yep.
And I had sunglasses on. He's like, "Man, them are nice sunglasses. Can I see those?" He puts them on, and next thing you know, we're walking through Saratoga, and at the time he's probably like 12, and he's up to the security guards, "Jimmy, hey man, what's going on?" They had handshakes, and he's like, "Hey boss, you want to go Victory Lane?" They're down. Next thing you know, we look on the board, and Ezra and Boston are in Victory Circle with the horses. He's everywhere he's not supposed to be. He's handing me money going, "Hey, put this $3 bet down on these guys to show." And it's all coming in. He's just got this air about him.
He's got a swag to him that, like, I wish I'd want to play with him on my team. You know what I mean? Like, if I was the line down lineman in front of him, I think we'd be cool. I liked besides, having the rockin' mullet, I think his when you had your conversation, you talked about what it's like being down and the difference, because we had talked about the kids who have never played from behind before and kind of just the giving up. Like, you can tell that he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he understands that, it's a game and there's plenty, 1 score, 2 scores, you can come back. Like,
right.
You play the end. You play to the final whistle.
Right. And we discussed that a little bit, and I didn't want to put him in a position to have to elaborate on it.
Right.
But Ezra came through, and he's a winner, and he came through when that's all he knew. You know what I mean? We
right.
The year he came and played football with us, not one game was easy. Not one game was it was challenging. We trailed in many games and came back and won. And I think that's a mindset, and it's crazy when you think about it. Like, if all you've ever done is lose at checkers, it's going to be hard when you're winning at checkers to continue to win. You know what I mean? Like, the second somebody gets a leg up on you, you're going to be like, "Oh, I'm going to king them, and they're going to double jump me all the way back," and
Right.
I think eventually it's a mindset, and he has a mindset of I'm gonna win. We can win. I'm a winner.
Right.
And I don't think it's necessarily true for all of his teammates, because a lot of those kids came through a time when it was very rough for them.
Right. And he's in 10th grade, so he's in
10th grade, right?
So he's got 2 more years. If he continues to develop and kind of cultivate that culture of, put the work in, he'll come out as a leader, and there will be people who will follow that. So he's got 2 years for people to kind of see what his mindset is and his work ethic to turn it around. And if he's
he's going to get more like-minded kids coming to him now.
Right. If he's that charismatic leader, people are going to look up to him, and I'm interested to see his development and the team develop around him, at least the defense.
Yeah. He's that guy.
Yeah.
You check your phone. I forwarded you a message from Matt Russell, who, he wanted to go on air. I can't let him on air because it'll just it's ridiculous. But do you want to jump into the couple bets? I mean, this is a betting show.
Yeah.
No, a little sideways.
No, we're cool.
And then we got somebody on YouTube like trying to tell us to watch NFL games, hijacking our YouTube. So
whatever. Screw them.
whatever. We're having fun here. You can comment, and hopefully we can see the comments. We're trying to work through that issue. Except for you, Matt. Please don't comment anymore.
Shut it down.
Shut it down, Matt. We got to turn Matt's comments off.
Hey, Matt.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, remember, you want to talk about me being a catcher? Remember when you were putting the bases away on Thornton Field, and the big thing came down and hit your head, and you chipped your tooth on it, and you cried like a baby?
And his tooth is still chipped.
I was there for that, Chipper. I saw that.
All right,
Cowboys, baby. All right,
yeah.
So
I won money on the Cowboys last week. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I didn't. I jumped on the Giant train because I bet against the team. Because if they win, I'm happy, and if they lose, I make money. So, anyway, Browns Falcons. Actually, no, Vikings Saints. Do you have any action on that game? They're playing at 9:30 today. 2-1 Vikings playing Saints who are 1-2 in London.
Yeah. So neutral field, neutral fan base. This is that crazy game. So a buddy of mine's going to the Giants game next week there in London.
Yeah.
He's pumped for it. It's awesome. But any London game, the wildest thing is you don't truly have a home field because everybody over there wears a different jersey. You'll see probably all 32 teams' jerseys in the stands today. But having said that, I like the Vikings here.
Everybody likes the Vikings.
Is New Orleans is not the same team away from?
Is this considered prime time though? Because it's like it's not. Okay. Because prime time Kirk Cousins is terrible.
Yeah, no, this is 9 a.m. Kirk Cousins.
He's legit like 0-9 prime time.
Yeah, no.
Okay. I know if it's a big highlight and it's a different, stadium. I know it's 9:30. I mean,
I'm not at all betting that game. If I were going to bet that game, I would probably take the over 41.5.
Right. Yeah, I'm not. I don't have any action on that game. So next one we got the 2-1 Browns coming into the 1-2 Falcons. I don't think I have any action. Actually, no, I do. I do have something on this one. It's who's their running back?
Chubb.
The Falcons running back.
Oh, I don't know, but I stayed away from this game.
I'll talk about that when we come to the parlay. I have some prop picks. For that when we come to the end to the pick six parlay. I'll talk about that because I think that game's going to be big with running. We have two decent running backs.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. So that's the only action I have. I don't have anything on the game or the
yeah,
spread.
I mean, there's not enough really there. You don't know what you're getting. The Falcons, I don't think they're home dogs. But I don't think they're gonna. I don't know that they're gonna beat the Browns. The Browns are actually a decent team.
It's the Browns -1. Currently, the line's Browns -1, and the over/under is 47.5. Now, the Browns typically give up a lot of points and score a lot of points, right?
Yeah.
But because I think it's going to be a shorter game on the ground, because they both are going to run, the under might look good there, but I'm not betting it.
Okay. What's the next game?
The next game we got, I gotta pee, is Buffalo at Baltimore. I love this game. This might be like my game of the week, but I don't know what to take here because
I would take the over. I know it's high at 15.5.
That's expected. That's if we're talking conventional
I know that's
football.
Expected, and I know it's high, but Buffalo didn't. I mean, Buffalo needs to bounce back this week after the last week deal, and didn't Miami score like 40-something points on Baltimore 2 weeks ago?
Yes. So the Bills, a 2-1 Bills, I don't think that affects their power ranking anyway. Like we have two juggernauts of the AFC playing today, both with mobile, excellent quarterbacks. You expect to see a lot of points, but when you expect something in the NFL, usually it goes the other way. So I might even hit the under on that just because it's expected to be a high-scoring shootout kind of game because Lamar will keep you in the game to the end, even if they're down. right? He'll
Yeah.
keep you in the game to the end. I think the line was like -2.5 last I checked, for Buffalo being the favorite. But I really am hyped for that game. I want to watch that, and I don't think it's going to be available to me because I live in the Midwest and I don't get New York games. So I wish I could watch that. I do have a prop from that one that I'll talk about when we get to the pick six at the end. That's going to be a great game. I hope it. I think the power rankings of Buffalo did not diminish by being 2-1. They should be 3-0. The one loss does not come to who they lose to. Was it the Dolphins or they were in Florida?
Yeah.
It doesn't come to the Dolphins. It comes to the Florida
they don't
Heat.
travel well. They don't travel well.
It comes to the Florida Heat. The Florida Heat lost that. So many people were on the sidelines cramping up, oxygen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was a NFL fluke thing. Buffalo's
I do have a prop
back.
bet from this game, and it's Josh Allen, 250 yards or more of passing.
I would take that action. I think that's good.
Yeah.
The next 1:00 game, we have the 1-2 Commanders, the Matt Russell losers, versus the 2-1 Cowboys in Dallas. So this is a big divisional game, big divisional rivalry. The Commanders are wearing their terrible alternate jerseys that are basically just rip-offs of the Steelers. It's black and yellow. They shouldn't be allowed to do that. They look hideous.
Yeah. Here's one thing about Dallas, and I do not think that AT&T Stadium is a home field advantage. I don't know if it's their crowd. I don't know what it is, but I think it's almost like their fans travel better than they do it at Dallas. Like it's wild. You watch some other games, and the opposing team sounds like they're drowning out the hometown crowd.
I have a bet that's not on anything, in DraftKings or nothing. What's the over/under on how many times the Washington kicker is going to hit that stupid jumbotron on a punt
on purpose?
Because they're going to be punting a lot. Dallas defense is going to shut down Carson Wentz. I hit last week on the Carson Wentz under. If you followed me, if you tailed me on that one, you're welcome. That dude is garbage, and that's another reason why I got away from Washington. I like the Cowboys in this game just because I like the Cowboys. I'm not betting on this, but this is an interesting game. Typically, Washington and Dallas, like for the longest time, they usually split the season. They play twice in the season, usually, right? They usually go 1-1.
Yeah.
So I like the Cowboys here just because what they're coming off of. I think Cooper Rush is doing well. I would still take the under on Wentz. I think I have the under on him again just because he's terrible. Cowboys win this game, I think. I would take Cowboys money line. Next 1:00 game, we have the 1-2 Seahawks at the 1-2 Lions. The Lions, I think, are due to put a hurting on somebody. They're coming out scoring points. They just can't put both halves together. They can't, they got to win though. That's cool. I think the Lions win here.
And the over looks good because they've scored 30-something points over how many games in a row?
Is Geno Smith gonna? Is it Geno Smith? Who's the quarterback?
No, I'm saying the Lions have scored.
I know,
30.
But the over, the Seahawks going to score?
Well, they would need to score only like 13 points, I think, to make it to do the over. I hear you.
We'll see how their kicker does. Maybe their field goal kicker will get them some points, but I don't know about their offense. They're only good against Russell Wilson in Seattle. 1:00 Chargers game. Chargers with 1-2, but 1-2 Chargers. This is the team.
Herbert's dinged, and this is the team that I thought had a shot at going to the AFC Championship, if not the Super Bowl.
They still do.
They do. It's a long season. We're only at like the quarter pole,
Is Herbert back to 100% though?
I don't think so.
He should have took off the week after the Chiefs.
He broke rib cartilage?
Yeah, he should have took off the week after the Chiefs. He went in and got a little bit more banged up. He's still a phenomenal quarterback. They're playing the Texans, the 0-2-1 Texans. I have a prop bet for the rusher, the running back for the Texans it's in a parlay, the pick six parlay. But I like the Chargers here, even though they're banged up.
Yeah.
Chargers on the road. They're just a better team. than the Texans, but they're pretty banged up and at key positions. So that's going to be a game to kind of, I would lay off it just because I don't know how the injuries are going to affect.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
Oh my God,
What's
how
the
many
next game?
1 o'clock games? The 1 and 2 Titans playing the 1-1-1 Colts.
I have a so I have I'm on that one. I got the Tennessee money line, and then I got a prop bet that I got in at, but it's a huge one. So at plus 2,000, I just took a couple dollars and threw it on there, a couple units, as Zach would say. Uh, uh the Tennessee money line, that's just a win. Derrick Henry to score an anytime touchdown, rush for 70 yards, and Jonathan Taylor to have a touchdown and rush for 90. I think it's pretty safe. Like, they're two teams that like to run the ball.
Yep.
And if you're down in that area, they're probably the two teams that'll give it to those guys to score. Now, Taylor was banged up and he's coming back, so I don't know. But
it really depends on.
That's the part that makes me worry a little bit about that.
It depends on what Indy team shows up to play. They've been a different team each 3 weeks. They were expected to be not necessarily juggernauts, but way better than they showed out the first 2 games. Then they show up and they beat the Chiefs. So what Indy team shows up to play is what's going to determine. I like both of they're both heavy running teams. I think that the Colts have a little bit more options in the receiving game. I think Michael Pittman is phenomenal. If I like the Colts here. I don't know. Your bet, if it hits, that'd be great. I think the rushing aspects are good. The yards and the touchdowns
it always comes down to the touchdown. Do they punch it in on the ground or in the air,
Yeah. So I like the Colts there, but I don't know who's they're playing. They have home field. It depends on who shows up. If they're rolling off of the Chiefs, what's the momentum? I like the Colts there. Next one, I do have a bet on this game. This is the Bears, the 2-1 Bears versus the 2-1 Giants. I think the Giants are overrated. I think they do have some good players, but they're not like this amazing team just yet. They started off 2-0 and they lost to the Cowboys last week. But Herbert, is it just Herbert? He has today the lowest ever over-under passing yards recorded in DraftKings history. Its over-under on his passing yards is 147.5.
Right.
He has not thrown the ball like at all. He made a tweet this week joking about the coach that they talked about putting the ball in the air more. Now, week 1, they had that big rain bowl with San Francisco, right? So you don't expect him to throw a lot there. Week 2 and 3, I don't know what happened. They do have a very strong running game, but I expect him to put the ball in the air. Because it's not expected. I think the Giants are going to overlook the Bears because they got London next week, that big London game. I think the over on that on the Bears on Herbert passing yards is interesting just because the number's so low, and I think the Bears is Bears +3. I got the Bears +3.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not. The only thing I got on that is I got a prop bet that Barkley touchdown.
Yeah, I hope he does. He's my fantasy RB.
Right.
He's my fantasy RB1.
Anytime touchdown. Yep.
We got the 2-1 Jags playing the 3-0 Eagles. Do the Jags give the Eagles their first loss? Are the Jags that team?
I think it's like last week I talked about a lot of 0-2 teams, and I won on those 0-2 games where I said if you go 0-3, you don't make the playoffs, and a lot of those teams showed up, like the Panthers and whatnot. If this is a statement game, I ultimately don't think they win, but I think they play it close enough that what's the spread on that?
Jacksonville +6.5.
I would take the Jacksonville +6.5 for this reason. That's a statement game. If you're trying to sit out there and say that, hey, we belong here and we're for real, this is probably the team you got to show up against and do it.
Yeah, I think the Eagles, I know in the beginning of the season, you say Eagles are overrated. I think the Eagles are the team in the NFC to beat right now. I do like that 6.5. I think the Jags, if they are that team, which they're surprising me every week. I'm like, I just expect them to be trash, and they're good, and they're young and they're good. So I like the 6.5. I think that's an interesting bet. It's -110, but I think the Eagles definitely win this game.
Yeah, I
Could
think
be,
the
could
Eagles
be an
win,
upset
but I
though.
think it's just tighter than what
Yeah,
people are anticipating.
could be an upset. I like this next game. This is the last 1 o'clock game. The 1 and 2 Jets with their quarterback coming back
Yeah,
versus the 1 and 2 Steelers in
the MILF
Pittsburgh.
Hunter. The MILF Hunter returns.
So the Jets like to make things ugly. Like they like to keep games either like close that they shouldn't be or blowouts when they should be close. So they're playing in Pittsburgh. I like the Jets plus 3.5. I think I like it. I don't know how their quarterback's going to be.
Here's where I think things could. All right, we're at the quarter pole, right? Pittsburgh is 1 and 2, I believe, correct?
Mm-hmm. Both 1 and 2 teams in Pittsburgh.
Both 1 and 2 teams. Where I think it could become interesting is if, and I don't know if he's even on. If Kenny Pickett were to come in at home, I think Pittsburgh then becomes a different team. But right now, their offense is stale. And I don't necessarily think it's Trubinsky. I think it's the way that they're running the plays. The Jets have a decent defense, and it'll really be up to if Zach Wilson is in form or not.
Yeah.
If he doesn't turn the ball over haphazardly 2 or 3 times today, I agree with you. I think the Jets could be that spot.
Yeah, unfortunately I won't be able to be watching it because I'll probably have the Bears and the Giants and the Colts and the Titans available to watch for my local listings. But I would rather watch this game. I think it's going to be fun to watch just because it's like watching 2 bad news Bears teams play against each other. So
yeah, and the Jets have some talent. So
I like the Jets plus 3.5, and I saw that Chris posted that Fields can't even get the ball to his number 1 Mooney. Yeah, I know. I think that's why I think it's interesting because I like the over because I think it's got to turn around sometime. It's going to happen today.
Well, that and what kind of a problem does Fields? What kind of problem does Fields give the Giants defense with his feet?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he is mobile. He's pretty mobile, and he can make things happen out of the pocket.
But he's got to put the ball in the air.
Yeah,
they got to like. I hope they do it this game because I got the money on it, but I think it's going to happen. All right, then we got 4 o'clock. We got the 1 and 2 Cardinals at the 1 and 2 Panthers. This game.
I am going to go Panthers. So, did you see the news that came out this week about the Panthers?
No.
Excuse me. One of their fans went apeshit online and said, "I can tell you every time," and he showed like footage.
Yep.
He goes, "They're tipping their hand at what plays they're running," and they may be because Matt Rule's like a college coach, and they're trying to say they're like every time McCaffrey lines up at this depth, it's a run play. Every time he lines up at this depth, it's a pass play. And every single time he showed like every clip and it worked out. And if you're telling people, like, that's the biggest thing. Like, there's no element of surprise.
Right.
There's no chance it may be a draw. There's no chance it may be play action.
Right.
You got half the battle won. So if they fix that, it's not really Baker. Let's get it going here.
So I have a prop bet on this game for the McCaffrey under. So it was which I hope it doesn't hit. I'm putting money on it. I hope it doesn't hit. He's my other running back in fantasy.
Yeah.
He was questionable with a thigh injury, didn't practice pretty much all week. Yes, as of yesterday, he did a couple light reps and things like that, and he's expected to play. But with the lingering injury, I don't think he produces.
Right.
So if he's going to play, I think he's like under 47.5 yards, I think. I hope he goes over. So I'm only putting a little bit on that. I have it in a parlay.
Right.
I hope he goes over just because I need him to win my fantasy. But he's got that thigh injury to think about also. So you got I like the Cardinals here. I don't like the Panthers. I like their alternate uniforms, but they're not using them today. But that's
Chris
my bet
Whitney
on.
dropped in with this awesome comment. Kyler Murray will play well. Call of Duty was having fun having a weekend last week. He
Yeah,
plays
when
badly
they
or
have
something,
when
having a
Call
big
of Duty
weekend.
has like beta test weekends, he spends
He's terrible.
he spends a lot of time playing that and playing on the video game and not studying film. So, yeah, I'm with you, Chris. Taking the Cards. Next game, 1-2 Patriots at Lambeau, the 2-1 Packers.
Packers. It's tough to win there. Mac Jones is banged up pretty heavily.
He's
The
out.
Patriots will
He's
hang
out.
around, but
Mac Jones is out. He's not. He's sitting. They have I think it's Brian Hoyer. So
Brian Hoyer knows the system though.
he does.
That's the difference.
I like his under.
Yeah.
I think it's like 187 and a half yards. He's played a couple games here and there, right? So like his production is pretty low. What do you think about this? This is when I was cooking up this bet. So the line started out like the Patriots plus 10. It's plus 9.5 right now. So they are expecting the Patriots to be playing from behind, right? So if they're playing from behind a lot, you're going to be taking more risky plays, trying to move the ball downfield to score. You're not going to be running and chewing up clock. So that being said, would the under on the Patriots running back be good here? But they also have Brian Hoyer at the helm. Are they going to trust the ball to be in his hands? This is an absolute shit show for the Patriots, and I think there's value. It's just it's a gamble. Which one's going to hit? Is it going to be, are they going to rely on the run because Hoyer sucks and that over goes, or are they going to be playing from behind a lot and they're going to have to pass, and then the under goes? So I'm taking the Hoyer.
Number 1 ranked defense this week, according to Pro or Sports Illustrated, for week 4 is the Green Bay Packers versus the Patriots. So I understand what you're saying. Whatever the Packers are weakest at, Belichick will try to exploit it. But is it in the air or is it on the ground? Right.
I think Dillon is going to have a big game today. I think the Packers are going to control the clock. They're going to run the ball a lot, and they're going to just march all over them. I got in at the Patriots plus 10. I think that's a lot of points to give, even against the Packers in Lambeau. I like that one too. So I have the plus 10. I would even take it at 9.5. But I think Dillon's also going to have a game.
All right. I would stay away from that. If anything, I would take the Patriots to cover. I mean, not the Patriots. I would take the Green Bay to cover. Because I just have a feeling at home, I could see it being like, what's a 10 you said?
It's 9.5 right now.
I could see it being like 24-10 final. What's the next game?
All right. I was just looking because you said the Packers were number 1 defense, and they were my defense, and I dropped them for Dallas. I was going to see if I could nab them, but somebody else did, them bastards. All right, next game is the blandest quarterback on the planet, Russell Wilson. The 2-1 Broncos at the 0-3 Raiders. Under all day. I'm going to take Russell Wilson. They'll win, but it ain't scoring. I saw something I wanted to do. It was too long of a clip. You were like, what's the clip for this week? And it was a bunch of SWAT teams, a SWAT team like trying to break into an apartment, hitting the door. And they can't get it open. And I was like, it's the Denver Broncos in the red zone. And it's the truth. They can't put points on the board unless it's with the kicker.
Yeah, he fell off something crazy.
Did you see his Subway commercial? The Danger Witch?
Yeah.
That
Did
dude's
you
a
see
tool.
Pat McAfee tear up his new football with the fins on the back?
No.
Remember the football when you were a kid that you threw and it had it was a Nerf and it had the fins on the back and a whistle and all that? Yeah. He came out with one, but it literally looks like a square beer can with some fins on the back. It's one of the worst things ever.
I like the under in that game, but the Broncos to win. The Raiders got to win someday though. They're at home.
I'll take the Raiders at home. They're 0-3.
Yeah, that might be.
They have to get a win. If not, Josh McDaniels is going to be out of a job again.
What is the? I mean, that he's playing. He was at the Broncos before, right? That was his last head coach job.
He was the head coach at the Broncos. Then he was the offensive coordinator for the Patriots for all those years.
They got the Raiders -2.5. So
The
they're, I
Raiders
mean,
are
they're
favored at home.
the Raiders are favored at home. I like it.
Yeah, I'd go Raiders there.
I think the Broncos will find a way to win, but I like but just giving a field goal at home. I think the Raiders are due to win, and they can do it by a field goal. All right. Next one is prime time, baby. 2-1 Chiefs at the 2-1 Bucks. Chiefs in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. Are they playing in Tampa Bay though? Like after the hurricane?
Yeah, they're
did they
playing
move?
in Tampa Bay. Yep.
Okay.
They
So
made
what's
that
that going to look
decision.
like?
I don't think it was bad in Tampa Bay, but this Bucks team is not the team it was a year ago or 2 years ago. I think a lot of wins are going to be a lot harder here. I could see this team at the end of the year being like a 9-8 kind of team or a 10-7 kind of team, not a 13-4 or whatever.
I got so on this, the Chiefs coming off a loss to the Colts, right?
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs bounce back, and they're the Kansas City team that they're meant to be, the juggernaut.
Well, I think the Chiefs are still going this way, and Tampa's either done this or is doing this.
Yeah. So I like the Chiefs here, and then one of the prop bets for the parlay from Winnie, he's got a bunch on this game, but he says most confident was Travis Kelce over 67.5 yards. And I like that one as well. And also anytime TD, but in the parlay, I got the over 67.5. I think that one's more likely than TD, but I like the Chiefs here. I hope Mahomes comes out and has a day, scores me a lot of fantasy points.
Yeah.
Primetime Mahomes is good.
Yeah.
So I like this. And then the Monday night game, we got the Rams at the 49ers. 2-1 Rams at the 1-2 Niners.
Yeah. What Jimmy Garoppolo are you going to get? The one that runs out of the back of the end zone for a safety?
Yeah. What I like here is Cam Akers under.
Yes.
I don't think they're going to run well against the 49ers.
No.
It's something like 47.5 maybe. I like the Cam Akers under.
A couple of years, 2 years, the first year we started the Outlaw Blitz, the 49ers were coming off a Super Bowl, and I said, not a chance. I said they're going to have a huge drop-off. Then they bounced back last year, had a big year, and then the 49ers are a team that seem like they need to find themselves every year before they get going. Mm-hmm. They're never just like good from the start, you know what I mean, and take off. Like last year, they came on late in the year. I don't think they're there yet. I don't think they got their – you went from this style of quarterback and you planned your whole season around that to now you got Jimmy G, who's not like very elusive with his feet and does all this stuff. So you're in that conversion time frame still. So I would definitely I would go with the Rams there.
What is – I don't know the Niners too well. I know that their defense is pretty good, right? Like,
yeah,
as far as defensives go, they're pretty strong, especially against the run. How's their secondary? What's Cooper Kupp? Do you know anybody? Do they have any big names that are like somebody that can match with Kupp, or is he going to have a field day?
I don't think many people, period, match with Kupp. You know what I mean? Like because he goes all over the field, he's not just like an outside the numbers guy, or you know what I mean? Like he's all over. He's running slants. He's running crossing routes. He's sitting in zones, flats. So I don't believe any one person can like sit on Kupp like that.
Yeah.
So Cooper Kupp, depending on what his prop bet is, he's gonna have a day. He's gonna have a day unless they double him all game. I think he's gonna have a day.
Yeah, that dude is something phenomenal to watch. Like, did you see there's a pretty popular clip of him last year? He was getting an off game, like an after game interview, and he was speaking a complete different language. The reporter was like in awe. That dude's football knowledge is insane.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's funny, he learned it on an Amish farm because
yeah.
You ever see pictures of him when he was in high school?
No.
Bro, he looked like he could have been Brother Hezekiah from the – yeah. Look him up. It's funny. handsome dude now. He's out in L.A. He probably got his teeth fixed, but bro, he was not.
Right.
And he does it all as a wide receiver. He does it all. The kid can play. He can play. So as long as they get him the ball, I think if he's got a prop bet, I think I would go with that, like an anytime touchdown or something like that.
All right. So that's it for the week. We can recap and do the parlay. So you got a couple parlays you mentioned throughout. I asked a couple of our people for their picks. So we don't have a full 6 leg. It's not a full pick 6. It's only 4 because I couldn't get a hold of Troy.
Who is that guy?
Who's Troy?
Who's Troy?
Houday. Speaking of Houday, listen, let's take one quick second to talk about how sharp the Bengals alternate uniforms are. All the time. Do those all day long.
Yeah, the white tiger. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, even if it's just their away, be the orange, the Bengal at home, and then be that was so sharp. It looks so good.
Yeah,
they're phenomenal.
And it was a home game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I definitely like that uniform better.
Yes, I call for a switch. All right, so we have from me, my bet in this one is the Christian McCaffrey under 61.5 yards. Coming off of the thigh injury, I don't expect him to see a lot of touches. And if he does, I don't think he's going to break for long ones. Hope he does in my fantasy, but I'm just expecting him not to. So under 61.5, I got this is your pick, the Cowboys and Commanders, Michael Gallup anytime touchdown scorer. He's coming back after injury.
Yep.
Maybe they're not expecting him to get the ball that much, and he's going to sneak in and be a sneaky touchdown scorer. It's plus 250. That's our biggest odds thing here, and that's what really ramps up. I thought it would have been
higher, to be honest with you, but
plus 250 is okay, especially in a parlay, because that significant. I mean, parlays they're fun. They're fun, and like when you hit them, they make a lot of money typically. But the odds, every leg you add, significantly reduces the chance to win. Because, even if you're looking at a 50-50 spread, right? Keep doing that every time. It's going to bring you down your chances of winning. So like a 4-leg and beyond, the chances are they go down to 1%. So plus 250 is going to ramp it up. If he scores, that'd be great if this hits. But when you're betting parlays, that's something I'm just saying, you definitely want to bet responsibly and use smaller unit bets because unless you just are cool with just gambling that money, because the odds of them hitting are so small. So the next one's from Highland, is from Winnie. He's got the Kelsey over 67.5 yards. And we talked about that when we talked about Chiefs. I like that one. And the other one I got from my dad, he says he expects Stefon Diggs to have a big game. He's over 84.5. The Bills playing at the Ravens, we talked about it potentially being a high-scoring game, a lot of action, 2 dynamic quarterbacks. And Stefon Diggs is phenomenal. So I took that one too. The odds on this is plus 2,266. So that's a lot. It's almost times 30. So if you put a quarter unit bet on there, you're looking at multiplying that by 30. So that'd be cool if we hit. That'd
be an awesome 4-legger there. I mean, and then every week I have to say I'm rolling with these guys today, the Outlaws. They got their final home game, and it's back to the house that Gmac built up in Mount Marion. Because of the Garlic Festival, we had to move off the high school field, so it's back to the old Mount Marion field.
Who are they playing this week?
They're playing Red Hook, and they worked really hard. Jesse Smith and Nikki, his girlfriend or fiance or whatever, that run the Outlaws. They worked their asses off this week to get it up and back. There hasn't been anything up there in a few years. And that we had the pins in the ground. Thank God we got it all up there. They went up. They had to paint it themselves. And I went up there yesterday and checked it out. Everything looks good. And it should be a good time. But I rolled with them the last 2 weeks. We're 4-0 in those picks. And I'm going with them today in both levels. So hopefully we get another Outlaws victory.
Side bet, you going to the Garlic Festival?
Side bet, no.
Damn. So I was gonna say, what's the over under on the amount of Tums you're gonna eat after all that fucking garlic?
Yeah, I know. Most years I do go. This year I pay. The bigger thing is you pay a decent amount to get in there. It's a lot of arts and craftsy stuff and garlic stuff.
Mhm.
Unless I'm getting pierogies or something, I really. And the
It's
cost of
something.
like food truck type food is so expensive now.
Yeah,
You
it's
walk in there
something you
with
take for
$100 and
granted.
you're broke in like 20 minutes.
Something you take for granted when you don't live around the area anymore. I definitely wish I could go to the Garlic Fest. When I lived there, I was like, oh, it's the Garlic Fest, whatever. It just means more traffic around Cantine. But there's nothing like that around here. We have you said Journey was going. Is she going to an Apple Fest or something?
She's going to Apple Fest, which is up. She's going to Apple Fest, which is up. I don't know what is going on here. At she's going to Apple Fest in Ithaca at her by her college there.
Yeah, that's what we have around here. We have a big Johnny Appleseed Fest that was just a couple weeks ago, but it's nothing like the Garlic Fest. That it's in Fort Wayne. Johnny Appleseed's like our patron saint out here. Our baseball team's called the Tin Caps. They have this big thing at the Coliseum where it's about the size of, say, the Garlic Fest.
Yeah.
But they do a lot of outdoor vendors and a lot of it's a period piece festival. So everybody that's a vendor there has to be like from whenever that time was, the 1800s. So they're all wearing old like handmade garb, cooking out of copper kettles. It's very interesting, very fun, and because I live here and I've been here, I'm like, yeah, it's just the Appleseed Festival, but it'd be something cool for somebody outside. So like if you've never been to the Garlic Festival, it's definitely something that you should check out. It's great for just a festival altogether. Garlic ice cream. I tell people about garlic ice cream.
I had it. It was actually decent.
It's good. It's
It is good.
Like the sweet cream with garlic when it's not like
right
chopped. It's excellent. So like if you get a chance and you've never been, I definitely suggest you go, but just make sure you take Tums because all that garlic's going to cause some stomach upset.
It definitely will.
How was Saugerties last week?
Which level?
Whichever. I saw you post some things. Was that Boston throwing touchdowns from this week?
Thursday. Yep. Thursday we won 34 to not. Well, not we. They won 34 to nothing over Highland.
And this is 18.
Threw the ball very well. Threw the ball very well this week. We ran the ball pretty well. Our defense is very good up front, and our B team took a substantial step forward. There's a new running back. I think his name is Eli Arnold. I didn't see him in week one. I don't know the young man, but he ran the ball extremely hard last week on the B team. He impressed me. He ran the ball tough runner. And then on the varsity, they lost 14-6 at Marlboro. Marlboro's they're a decent program. They've been a very good program at times, and they're in a little bit of a flub,
right.
year kind of. But it was Marlboro's homecoming, and it's hard to win at somebody's homecoming when they're motivated, And they had a good showing, and it's tipping in the right direction. They just need that breakthrough, But next week's our homecoming against Port. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, what's that like? Because Port is always huge.
I know, but yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, we lost like 52-6 at my senior homecoming to Port. They absolutely wiped the field with us. We actually, in the second half, they ended up putting in all their subs, which like their JV team, and we still couldn't score on them. It's because they didn't run the ball behind me and Travis. We got 6 to 8 yards every time he did that.
Yeah, it's a bounce back. As long as you keep trending in the right direction, not every win is a dominant performance, and not every loss is quote unquote a failure. You know what I mean? Sometimes you lose, but you're making progress.
Right. To hold, I don't know what the Marlboro team is like, but to hold somebody at their homecoming to only 14 points, I think is pretty good.
Yeah.
That's 2 scores.
There's like anything, there's things you got to clean up. You can't have dumb penalties. You can't have pre-snap penalties where the count and you're jumping off sides, and
Yeah.
it's just stuff you got to work on. But it's trending in a better direction than where it was. There was times it was abysmal earlier in the season. Now it's trending the other direction. So hopefully it's getting a little better. It'd be nice to at least have a decent showing. Um, let's see what happens. That's why you play the game.
You play to win the game.
Yep. You don't play to not lose it. You play to win.
All right. So I think that's it. The Vikings
good.
currently playing the Saints 0-0.
All right. Well, you enjoy your Chinese buffet breakfast you're headed off to.
Yeah, I will.
I'm going to head up to the Outlaw game, and then I'll be here watching some football later on this afternoon.
So
it seems like there's a slew of 1 o'clock games, only like 2 or 3 4 o'clock games. It looked like.
Yeah, it was like I think like 3 or 4. Going forward, what is you got? You said we got a separate Facebook page now, or no?
We do.
Okay,
it's on.
So, all right. So for next week, I think we'll try to see if we can get people to make sure they like that page, and we'll put up a community pick'em kind of thing, like a poll.
Yeah.
And we can add a community pick to the parlay for the following week, even if it's only a couple of you. But right now, are you still considering yourself the hangman? Did your bet suck last week?
I'm still pretty close with the hangman.
Yeah, I mean, every time you get a W, it feels nice. But after last week, I had a very poor bankroll management week. And I did the bad stuff where like you're losing, you try and come back and get more with college football.
On dumb shit and bet
you
big.
bet on dumb things and you bet big, and and that's I was cool with it. It wasn't bad because I was like it's gambling, but I lost the bankroll. So
yeah, I get it, man. You don't want to do that stuff. So like we always say, bet responsibly. Don't get into these things. There's always numbers to call if. I don't know why you'd be betting with us right yet. But, this is, if you stop on here and you listen to us, we bullshit about football. Today we talked about other parts of football, but we always end up, giving our take on what games we like and don't like and the spreads. And, I'm a newbie bettor. So, and if this Troy guy ever exists and ever shows up, we'll be schooled.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying we're trying to be these cappers and give you monster picks. We're just talking football and kind of, we're the public. We're betting with our football knowledge. Yeah, we're not trying to, hopefully we can.
But we like to add more conversation than just picks, like just kind of talk the game, talk whatever.
Oh yeah, shit. While you're there, let's talk about something real quick because I know it just started. I don't think I have anybody. No, I can't do it.
What?
I can't do it now because Vikings started. Wait. I was going to talk about making a quick change because I don't know who, because I got Christian McCaffrey. I don't have anybody else to put in his place. So my flexes are both running backs. I can move one of them up and sit McCaffrey, but I don't know who to put in as a flex. I got Lazard, Judy, or Landry. But Landry already played. No, he didn't. He's in New Orleans. No, he's playing right now. I can't put him in. So I got Lazard and Judy that I could put in. And I just don't. They haven't scored me any points.
Yeah.
So I'm just letting it sit this week, I guess, because
I'm terrible with that stuff because I don't. The younger guys. Highland's a big stats guy and he knows everybody's name. I kind of like who I like, and that's it. I'm not, on the fantasy side of it.
You're the Ron Popeil of fantasy football. You're the set it and forget it guy. This is my
that's
team.
Not true. I made a couple moves.
This is my team, and this is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope I have a showing. I don't like losing in anything, man.
No,
when I lost in week 2, I got destroyed.
Losing sucks.
By like 70 points.
Yeah. Losing sucks.
But anyway, yeah, fantasy. It's fun though. You know what I don't like about let's so speaking since the fantasy league manager was in here posting things. You know what I don't like about this league? No one talks shit. There's no one being like, I want a mid game. This is what I want. I want somebody in the mid game to be like, oh, like stomping your ass, and then like me to come back and win, and on a Monday night win.
I
Like
think
no
you
one
got to
talks
get in
shit.
Chris Winnie's work pool or something like that. Highland says they talk shit terribly all day.
Yeah, let's talk some shit. Bragging rights. Now
Yeah.
I'm not winning no league, but I want to win the game. So, all right.
I don't know, buddy. Every week you can find us here though. Sunday mornings we get on early usually between 8 and 8:30, and we kind of just go through our weeks. With the Sunday London games, we try to get on like 8 o'clock again next week.
Sounds good. You're playing Chris this week.
Yeah, I am playing Chris.
And
this week.
he's got the Herbert Eckler starting. So let's hope for the Chargers to come out horrible.
Yeah, I think I have a couple points on him early.
You do. You got Higgins. Higgins had 25 and
Yeah, that's not a bad start for T. Higgins right there.
No, but you got oh no. Oh, it's Joe Burrow. I was gonna say you sat Joe Burrow.
He
23
did.
I know, 23 and a half for Justin
Yeah.
Herbert. Let's hope he shows, Chris. Let's hope Justin Herbert's ribs are better. But yeah, you got Allen and Taylor, man. I hope they both go off. I was listening to the Blitz podcast where you were talking, like, because I listened to the 100 episode and not the one the week before.
Yeah.
And then I came back to listen to that one where you were talking about the draft. And I'm so mad at you because you auto drafted and you got the position before me. So there was like 3 times where I wanted somebody and I had them picked and it auto picked because you were there. And Allen was one of them. Because
yeah, like when I got this team, I didn't know. I'm like, how the hell did I get Josh Allen and Taylor? They're probably the 2 number 1 guys in each.
I think Chris had the first pick and he took Eckler. And I was like, you left Taylor on the board. He's the RB1, but he's not showing RB1 this year. But neither is Eckler. Looks like it's going to be Saquon, my guy. But anyway.
All right, buddy. Let's get rolling. Go enjoy your breakfast.
Yep.
If you bet with us, bet responsibly. I am the hangman. You'll lose your money. Zach does
Fade
a little bit better.
Fade him. I'm 50-50. You gotta flip a coin to see which one you want to pick.
Yeah. But we are back next week, 8 a.m. Bet responsibly, have fun, and enjoy the week.